Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking the psychological blueprints behind viral educational content. Have you ever wondered why some animations completely hijack your attention while others just kind of put you to sleep? Well, we're going to deconstruct the exact science of attention today. To do it, we're bringing together two seemingly opposite worlds. On one side, we have this massive, slightly bizarre internet phenomenon, and on the other, a really rigorous 16-page academic realist review from the Journal of Medical Internet Research. By the time we wrap up, you're going to walk away with the exact evidence-based formula for creating visual content that absolutely changes human behavior. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's dive right into this bizarre paradox. How exactly does educational gore teach millions of people? We're talking about Zach D. Films. Now, if you haven't seen his stuff, it's a channel that tackles what a lot of viewers describe as absolutely revolting topics. We're talking the gritty details of human anatomy, how scammers fake solid gold bars, or the frankly terrifying reasons why cockroaches are just so incredibly hard to kill. It features what viewers literally call educational gore. And yet, somehow, this channel is consistently rated by its own audience as highly instructional, trustworthy, and serious. So how on earth does content that is sometimes just flat-out uncomfortable to watch succeed in getting millions of people to genuinely learn about science?
That brings us to Section 1, the viral animation phenomenon.
To answer how this channel succeeds, we first need to look at our case study. We are right in the middle of a massive shift in how information is consumed, and honestly, the numbers prove it. 59.64 billion total video views. I mean, that is just a staggering metric. Visual explainers have evolved from these dry, textbook-style educational tools into highly captivating, sometimes shocking entertainment. Zach D. Films achieved this monumental reach using almost exclusively short, 1-minute 3D animations. We're not talking about long-form, drawn-out lectures here. These are lightning-fast, visually pristine, minimalist animations that hook you instantly. They take complex, or let's face it, gross realities, like the biology of pests or intricate scams, and distill them into 60 seconds of pure visual retention.
And you know, the audience response is really what makes this so fascinating. Just check out this user review from Favory. They wrote, "Educational gore that hurts to watch and it's amazing content. How?" You see this incredible juxtaposition in the reviews over and over again. Viewers will describe the animations as traumatizing, graphic, and grim. They'll even warn sensitive viewers to stay away. But then, right in the same breath, they tag the channel as trustworthy, instructional, and concise. People are freely admitting that they're learning a massive amount of information, essentially through doom scrolling. So what exactly is happening in the human brain when we watch this stuff?
Let's look at Section 2, the scientific framework revealed.
To figure out why this works so well, we have to pivot away from the viral internet hook for a second and look at some hard academic science. Recently, researchers published a massive realist review. They analyzed 48 different health and science animations to figure out precisely why they succeed in changing behavior and promoting preventative health. They basically wanted to know, what are the hidden gears turning in our minds when we watch a really good explainer? To do this, the researchers used a framework called CMOCs. That stands for context, mechanism, and outcome configurations. Now, please don't let the academic jargon intimidate you. It's actually a brilliant way to look at content creation. The context is simply how you set up the animation, the visuals, the sound, the setting. That context triggers a hidden psychological mechanism, like suddenly snapping to attention, feeling a spike of emotion, or building confidence. And then that mechanism is what produces the final outcome, which is the viewer actually learning something new or changing their behavior. And this brilliantly illustrates how those CMOs actually come together. The research identified 3 overlapping circles, or high-level constructs, that form the ultimate blueprint for hacking human attention. We've got design, content, and delivery. Notice how they interconnect right there in the Venn diagram. The thing is, you literally cannot have one without the others if you want to be truly effective. The design draws the eye, the content engages the mind and the heart, and the delivery ensures the message actually reaches the brain without any friction.
Moving on to Section 3, designing for the mind.
Let's break down that very first pillar, design. Look, how an animation looks and feels is the absolute first trigger for cognitive engagement. Well before a single word is processed, your brain is already reacting to the shapes, the colors, and the motion on the screen. The study categorizes how we design storytelling into several levels. You've got full storytelling with complex characters and a complete plot. Then you have basic storytelling elements, like just building a simple persona. But what's incredibly effective in science communication is using entertainment elements like anthropomorphism. Think about it for a second. Instead of just throwing up a dry diagram of the immune system, what if you animate white blood cells acting as tiny, diligent soldiers fighting off an invader? That design choice literally transports the viewer straight into the narrative. You aren't just watching facts anymore, you're experiencing a story. Now, when you design effectively like that, you trigger these specific cognitive mechanisms. One of the absolute most powerful ones is audience representation. When people see elements of themselves, or maybe their specific challenges represented in the animation, they instantly identify with it. Bam! That triggers a mechanism of enhanced attention. Furthermore, really good design reduces what scientists call cognitive load. Basically, this means using clean visuals, familiar structures, and clear symbols so the brain doesn't have to work in overdrive just to decipher the image. It frees up all of the brain's energy to actually remember the information you're presenting.
Let's jump to Section 4, crafting content that connects.
Okay, so once you've grabbed their attention with stellar design, your actual message has to strike a very specific balance. It needs to carry emotional weight for sure, but it also absolutely must provide practical empowerment. And this is exactly where the Zach D. Films paradox gets solved. The study found that highly effective content often presents information in a really emotionally evocative manner. Zach D. uses the gross or scary reality of anatomy or pests to elicit these powerful feelings and massively spike engagement. But, and this is a huge but, educating audiences about a scary challenge is largely insufficient for changing behavior. You have to provide the solution. You've got to give the viewer the know-how to deal with the challenge, because that builds self-efficacy. Zach D. doesn't just gross you out, he concisely explains the exact mechanism of the science, giving you a really satisfying resolution. You leave feeling smarter and empowered, which perfectly balances out that initial shock.
Next up, Section 5, Delivery, Trust, and Accessibility.
Here is the harsh truth, guys. Even the most beautiful design and the most perfectly balanced content will completely fail if the delivery vehicle is flawed. So the crucial point here is accessibility and trust. The research highlighted the immense power of languageless visual storytelling. Just imagine animated GIFs that completely bypass language and literacy barriers entirely. If you can explain a concept visually without relying on heavy text, your audience's cognitive processing is fully optimized. Furthermore, the source matters immensely. If the delivery comes from a perceived trusted source, which by the way is exactly why Zach D.'s consistent fact-based approach earns him that trustworthy tag despite all the gore, the audience actually believes and internalizes the message. Lastly, you have to consider exposure intensity. Ask yourself, is this message best served as a rapid-fire single short or as part of a connected series?
Finally, Section 6, the Modern Creator's Toolkit.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we bring all that heavy academic theory back down to practical application. Like, how do you actually make these types of highly effective explainers today? Just look at the sheer contrast and production methods here. To get that minimalist, clean, 3D style to Zach D method utilizes professional software like Blender, employs a massive team of around 60 people, and costs roughly $1,000 to $3,000 per 1-minute video. For most of us, that's completely out of reach, but look at the AI method right below it. Today, democratized AI tools are completely changing the game for solo creators. Tools like Long Stories AI allow you to auto-lock character consistency directly from a script, generating educational 3D storytelling for just a few dollars a video. The barrier to entry to use these psychological blueprints has literally vanished.
So, let's summarize our core takeaways from the Jamir paper and our viral case study into a really actionable blueprint. Step 1. Hook your audience using evocative, narrative design. Whether it's anthropomorphizing cells or showing the gritty, gross details of a bug, transport them visually. Step 2. Balance that emotion by delivering crystal clear know-how content that builds the viewer's self-efficacy. Give them the solution. And Step 3. Optimize your delivery. Make it accessible, reduce that cognitive load by limiting text, and present it in a format that's perfectly suited for mobile viewing.
All right, we have officially deconstructed the hidden mechanisms of viral educational content. You now have the scientific framework, context, mechanism, and outcome, and you have the practical tools to execute it without needing a 60-person animation studio backing you up. The psychology of attention is no longer this big mystery, it's a structural blueprint. So my challenge to you is this: take these insights, apply them to whatever complex topic you care deeply about, and just start creating. So what will you explain next? Thank you so much for joining in this explainer, and I will see you next time.